Coaches Media Session for Monday, October the 10th. Media, the opportunity to continue to log on to our Zoom session here. We will begin momentarily. Thank you.
Morning.
Few quick updates for our media participating on our call today. If you do have a question, please utilize the raise your hand feature here on Zoom to get your question in the queue for our head coaches. Please leave your line muted unless you are actively asking a question, and please do not ask your question until you are called upon. We ask that you please limit your questions to 2 questions initially, 1 initial question and then a follow-up question. If time allots, we will circle back to field more questions from our media participants. The call will begin today with Alabama A&M head coach Connell Maynor. Each coach will have roughly about 10 minutes in their availability for questions on the call. Once again, please have your lines muted if you're not actively asking a question. We'll be back momentarily. Recapping SWAC scores from Saturday. Alabama A&M defeated Grambling State by a score of 37-21. Florida A&M over South Carolina State by a score of 20-14. Texas Southern defeated Arkansas Pine Bluff by a score of 24-17. Jackson State over Alabama State by a score of 26-12. Southern University defeated Prairie A&M 45-13. Tennessee State over Bethune-Cookman by a score of 41-17. And Alcorn State over Mississippi Valley State by a score of 30-7. Once again, quick reminder, if you have questions, please utilize the raise your hand feature on Zoom to get your questions in the queue for our coaches. Please limit your questions to 1 initial question, potentially a follow-up question after that. If we have time, we will circle back to get more questions in from our media. Please wait till you're called upon before asking your question. With that being said, we're so happy to be joined by Alabama A&M head coach Connell Maynor. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, Andrew. How you doing, sir?
Doing great, Coach. Thank you so much for asking. Coach, if you could please just start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Grambling State.
Yeah, it was a great football game. Grambling came here for a conference game, and we knew it was going to be a tough game. Anytime you got a Hugh Jackson coached football team, they're going to be well prepared. And I didn't know the guys played so hard. We knew that defense was good, and that offense still trying to find a way playing different quarterbacks. But, you know, Hugh Jackson's a great offensive mind, and once he get those guys in the system, and for more than 1 year, they're gonna really start rolling offense. So they're gonna be very good in the future. But it was we turned the ball over first play of the game. We gave them a short field, and the defense bowed their neck and held them to a field goal attempt and just gave them 3 points. So I was very pleased with that. And then we finally got on the board and got up, and it kind of stayed 7-3 to right before the half. We gave a long pass right before the half, and they was able to take advantage and score and go up 10-7 at halftime. So we had a good ball game going, low scoring, a defensive game. And then in the second half, we came out and both teams made adjustments and both teams started making more plays in the second half. And wound up being 24-24. Going in overtime, they came down with 4 minutes to score and score a touchdown and sit into overtime. So we went to overtime and they got the ball first and scored, and we got the ball back and scored and went to double overtime. And after we scored the first time, we had to go for 2 and didn't get it. And then they got the ball back and we was able to stop them on our 4th down. So it was a great football game, hard play, well coached on both sides. And we was fortunate to get out with the win, and we made one more play than they did.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach Maynor. We'll open it up for questions for Coach. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta with Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. How's it going this morning, Coach Maynor?
It's going good, Doc. Hey, Doc, how you doing?
I'm doing well. It was some good football played this week, so I was happy.
Yeah. Doc, you always got the first question with me, okay?
I appreciate that. We're gonna continue to work with you then.
All right.
With that being said, I wanted to get into your rushing game. Donovan Eaglin was able to put up 126 yards on 21 carries, getting the end zone twice. You're able to rush overall for 184 yards, but you also were able to get some receivers to get in the game with 230 yards. But a lot of that was Quincy Casey being able to put the ball with different receivers. Talk about the combination of those two guys in the play this weekend, specifically on the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, that's what we're going to have to do offensively. We're going to have to stay balanced. We're going to have to be able to run the ball and throw the ball to keep these defenses off balance. And if you can stay balanced, you got a chance. It's once you become one-dimensional that teams can stop you. So we got to try to stay balanced, keep running the ball, play action pass, run some sprint outs, some bootlegs, and just keep the defense off balance. Quincy came in and did an excellent job of, first of all, just being prepared mentally and physically to play in a football game. You know how hard it is for these kids today when they're not starting. So for him to stay mentally prepared and ready to go was huge for us. And he came in and played well, made all his reads, made most of the throws. He missed some throws, but that's going to happen. He's human. And then, like I said, like you said, getting into different receivers. Our philosophy has always been not to get to one guy, take what the defense is giving us. So if they've given us the short pass, then we take the short pass. If they give them over the middle, we take over the middle. If they give us a deep ball, we're going to take some deep shots. So, and it just all matters. It just all depends on what receivers at what position. So we don't really target one guy. We just take what the defense gives us.
Makes sense. I want to talk a little bit about your next matchup with Arkansas Pine Bluff. Obviously, in a lot of ways in college, you introduced the Thursday night game, but in this case, this goes to Sunday. Is there any difference in your preparation pushing it back a week in terms of travel, or is that not a big deal since it's an extra day versus maybe having to prepare on a shorter notice with a Thursday night game?
Well, it's probably just giving us both teams. It's not an advantage because both teams played Saturday. Well, I don't know if they play Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're both. Was you having a Saturday game than a Sunday game? Just give you one extra day. And for us, we don't play the next week. So it's not going to put us on a short week the next week. Pine Bluff may play the next week. I don't know. Haven't really looked at their schedule. But if they play next Saturday, that's going to cut out one day of their preparation for the next opponent. So that's the only negative of playing on Sunday. The good thing about playing on Sunday, I tell all my guys that say they dream on playing on Sundays, this is your opportunity.
There you go. Appreciate the feedback, Coach. Look forward to the matchup. Take care.
Yes, sir.
Next question goes to Keisha Kelly.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Hey, Keisha, how you doing?
Good. Keisha Kelly from Black College Experience. So going into this week, I did read a story from Mo Carter, of course, talking about how this was 6 times in a row that A&M had lost to Grambling. So you get the win in double overtime. My only question is, what are the guys feeling like? I know how they felt Saturday, but are they still riding off the high on today?
Well, we have met with them today, they off day, but we try to celebrate those wins on Saturday night. First thing Sunday morning, then we get back in the office and watch the film and break it down. We have to learn from that film, and then we got to get on to our next opponent. So we already on to Pine Bluff now. That was a big win, but we can't live off that win. We got to do it again this week.
All right. Well, good luck. Look forward to the matchup, Coach.
Thank you.
Question goes to Ken Rashad.
Ken Rashad, HBCU Sports. Coach, congratulations on the win. However, in looking at the stat line, it does indicate that your team had 14 penalties for 142 yards. Address that issue and how that might impact you going into the latter weeks.
That can impact us huge, man. It's nothing good about having 14 penalties, and we got to get that cleaned up. We're having too many penalties. We had 2 personal fouls on the last drive when we tried to get a stop to win the game. We had 2 15-yard personal foul late hits. So we definitely got to get that cleaned up. Definitely too many penalties. And it's hard to win a football game in this conference as it is. And then you're going to put 14 penalties on top of it. That makes it even harder. So that's my fault. That's my job is to get these guys to be more disciplined. And I got to do a better job of that.
So is there any, and I hear coaches say that all the time, Coach, but is there any particular formula to correct issues with respect to penalties?
I mean, you try to discipline guys. You try to explain to them to get them to get their football IQ up to understand situations. The quarterback sprinting out and he throw the ball, you can't hit him. He's a quarterback. They're going to protect the quarterback. Guys step out of bounds, you can't hit him. They're going to call it 15-yard penalty. So you just got to educate them, and hopefully they'll play smarter. But when you get in the heat of the moment and guys are doing stuff, those guys react in certain ways. And you hope they don't, but sometimes they do.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, sir. No problem.
Next question goes to Mo Carter.
Hey, Coach. So, of course, you and Doc Gamble have now faced off the last couple of years in some exciting matchups between A&M and UAPB. Obviously, outstanding offense performances as well. But we know Quill is now gone, but they still got their quarterback, Skylar Prairie. He's been nicked up a little bit this year, but what do you and your coaching staff see for what he brings to the table, even though he may not be 100% this upcoming week?
Well, Scott is a top-notch quarterback, man. He can do it all. He can run. He can come out there and beat you with his legs. He definitely can beat you with his arm. He's a smart quarterback. He understands the game. He understands what Doc Gamble want to do, what they want to do on offense. Like you said, he hasn't had his best year this year. He's been banged up a little bit. So I just hope he can stay banged up one more week and don't play as well. But if he get going, man, it'll be tough on us because he's a great quarterback, and he definitely can lead the team to a championship as he did almost in 21 and got them in the championship game.
And just on a final note, obviously, you guys dropped the first 4 games, but now momentum is building with, 2 wins in a row. How important would another victory be for you guys this upcoming weekend, especially with the bye coming on the backside of that next game?
It's huge. It's our season. We can't afford to have another loss. So it's a must win. It's the biggest game of the season because it's the next game. But we got to have this win, and then we get a little bit of break and can heal up those little bumps and bruises. We get an extra week of film on Alabama State and try to get ready to go. But we got to take care of this one first, and it won't be easy. We got to go there, and we need to continue playing well on defense and being balanced on offense.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mo.
Coach Maynor, as always, we appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Luke Williams got a question.
Okay, we'll get a quick one in from Luke. Go ahead, Luke.
Hey, Connell, good morning, man. How are you?
Good morning, Luke. How you doing?
Congratulations on the win.
Thank you, sir.
Listen, there's all of this conversation now about what happened after the game between Jackson State and Alabama State. There was a little bit of that also last year when you played. Coach Prime. What about that? What do you feel about the way this situation has unfolded?
I don't know. I wasn't there, and so I don't know what happened. So I don't have a comment on it. So you have to ask those two guys.
Okay, well, let me put it like this. Based on your experience from last year with all that went on after your game, how much has that motivated? I know you're not a guy that needs motivation, but how much has that increased the intensity of the rivalry between you and somebody like Coach Prime?
Not much. I mean, like I say, the biggest game for us this year is this week, and then after that, it'll be the next game. Once we get the Jackson game, that'll be the biggest game, and then we just got to prepare to play a football game. It's not about me. It's not about Coach Prime. It's about the football game, and so I never try to take it out of context. It's always about the players and playing the football game. So that's kind of where I'm at with it.
Got you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Coach Maynor, as always, appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Next up, we go to Coach Robinson with Alabama State. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How's it going?
Doing great, Coach. Thank you for asking. And as always, Coach, we appreciate your time on what we know is a busy schedule for you all as you start your week. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Jackson State.
Yeah, I played Jackson State at our place for homecoming. You know, had a great crowd, great atmosphere. These are the type of games that you want to coach in. If you're a player, the type of games you want to play in. So started off pretty well. We scored first. We've been having off and on trouble with our kicking game, so we ended up missing the extra point. But the game was going like we wanted it to be. You know, a low scoring, physical, run the ball type of game. So our defense was playing well, doing a good job of containing Shador. We know they can score a lot of points, and so score was 10-6 at half. We were down, and that was after missing a chip shot field goal and an extra point. So, coming out in the second half, guys competed. I think everybody left the locker room feeling like we were going to win the football game. Unfortunately, we gave up a couple more scores, but the guys played hard. Love the emotion, love the excitement, love the atmosphere. I think that's what HBCU football is all about. The bands competed hard at halftime. So it was just a great HBCU football game. We fell a little bit short at the end, 26-12. Starting quarterback, Demetrius Davis, kind of got banged up with a shoulder injury, kind of recurring deal. So Miles came into the game at the end and drove us down and was able to get a late touchdown, but it wasn't enough for us to mount a comeback. And so, next week we're looking forward to hosting Mississippi Valley, a team that beat us last year. So I don't have to convince these guys of what they're about. Coach Dancy, talked to him during the media day, loved what they do on defense. And when I first got here, that was kind of my example of how I want us to run to the ball, because those guys play with a lot of effort on defense. They're going to play hard. So we have to put this one behind us and get ready for Mississippi Valley.
Appreciate those comments, Coach Robinson. First question goes to Donald Ware.
Coach Robinson, good morning. Donald Ware with Box to Row. How you doing?
Doing well. How's it going?
Doing pretty good. I just want to get your thoughts. I've read some quotes where you mentioned you were SWAC, or I am SWAC, in relation to what Coach Sanders may have said or what have you. I just kind of want to, can you kind of take us through that? What led you to say that? Was there a buildup there? Was there something specifically that happened during the week?
Well, I guess to me it's history, but it's still news. So I think when I looked at it, it was just a matter of, we know they were a homecoming team, but obviously, it was kind of how it felt how it fell on the schedule. So I think I kind of explained that last week. It was the first Saturday of October, and so and we're trying to get this homecoming tradition. So from that standpoint, that was the biggest thing about it. But to me, I guess if I'm gonna define when I say I am SWAC, to me is just, it's a history of Black college that we all try to represent. And I was fortunate enough, I was blessed to walk on at Alabama State on an academic scholarship. And that's how I started my love affair with the SWAC. Even before that, my dad worked at the Superdome. And so I grew up going to watch the Bayou Classic, rooting for Southern, but Grambling would beat them up most of the time, and we would win the band. So it's like the halftime show. So to me, I just think that SWAC is kind of it goes deep for me. It means something to me. Playing in the NFL, we would talk with guys who were Jimmy Smith or Ashley Ambrose, guys who were on another team in the NFL roster. I mean, you would meet after halftime, you would talk to those guys, and it meant something. So we just didn't let everybody say that they were SWAC. Guys would be around the locker room saying I'm SWAC. We'd be like, nah, you're not SWAC, man. You ain't playing the SWAC. You got to earn that. So to me, when I say I'm SWAC, it's about that history of going through the HBCU ranks, riding the bus from here to Houston to play a game. Fortunately, we fly now, but those are things we went through as young players coming through in the late 80s and early 90s. So I guess that's where I was from an emotional standpoint, but I don't think that had any bearing on a football game. I mean, it was a great game, great guys that played, and hopefully it can get back to the focus on the kids and not the coaches.
Last thought as a follow-up, do you have an issue with Coach Sanders or anything that he said specifically during the week or anything he said in the past?
No, not at all. I mean, we haven't talked at all during the week. We haven't talked in the past. We haven't talked since the game. So basically, it's just I'm not a huge social media guy. He's more into social media, which everybody has their preference. There's nothing wrong with it. I think it's been great for Jackson and great for the conference. Everything, the spotlight he's brought to the school and also to the SWAC. So I love that. That's just not me. But I think for the most part, it was just a matter of just a frustration over what I felt was not really representative of what we're trying to do as far as having respect for both teams. And so I think that's where it came from.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I want to get back on the field a little bit regarding my questions in terms of your defense. Your defense, Howard, you held them to 13, PV to 25, Texas Southern to 13, and JSU that has a pretty potent offense, at least in some of their matchups, to 26. Talk about what are you doing on the defensive side of the ball to get that done?
Well, man, I think, Coach Ryan Lewis, my defensive coordinator, he's doing a great job. I give my input, but I mean, he has to take credit for it. He has those guys that are playing really hard. We came out with a little different defense, a 3-man front. I mean, Shador's been so good at picking apart defenses. You can't just show him the same thing he's been seeing all year. So we wanted to switch it up. Try to disguise coverages. He did a really good job when he caught us in the zero or he caught us in man of identifying the guy to attack, and he was able to make the play and they made the throw. But for the most part, we kept them off balance. They weren't able to run up and down the field. You wanted to be, make them be methodical, make them be patient, which, usually you don't have quarterbacks who can be patient and then also take the big play. So he has the ability to be patient and run his offense, but then take the big plays when he gets them. So, but a lot of that is Coach Lewis. I mean, he's a great young defensive coordinator, a guy that I think would be a head coach in the conference at some point. So he's doing a great job, and we just have to keep that up this week.
Follow-up questions about Valley. Obviously, they come in 0-6. People talk about how tough they are, but what do you need to get done from an offensive perspective with your quarterback, Demetrius, that's played but injured, but your backup that seem to be able to come in and do some things well? What do you want to get done on the offensive side of the ball in this next matchup?
Yeah, Miles is a guy that's been here a while, so he knows the offense. I look at him as a 1A type of guy at quarterback, so we expect him to come in and run the offense and do well. But for us, we have 3 really talented running backs, so we have to start running the football more, be more effective. The games that we ran the football well in, we won those games, like Texas Southern, like Howard. So we have to get back to having a good, productive running game. And so I think that kind of sets us up for the play action and things we want to do in the passing game. So we have to get the offensive line going, get that running game going early, and then play tough physical defense.
Thank you, Coach Robinson. Look forward to the game this weekend.
Absolutely.
Next question goes to Keisha Kelly.
Hey, Coach, how are you?
Doing great. How's it going?
Good. So, you talked about the whole homecoming experience. You talked about, you walked on where you were a player at Alabama State, and you talked about the whole experience, the bands. What was that like coming or being in that atmosphere as the head coach?
I mean, it was great. I mean, we want every game to be like that. That's what we're working for. We know that America loves a winner. And so when you win it makes people want to come out and watch you play. So we're trying to just have that home field advantage. We lost a couple at home, so we have to turn that around. But just from the standpoint of having a stadium on campus that was packed the house from the Hornet Walk when we walked in, 2 hours before the game, everybody's out tailgating, just a great atmosphere. So for us as a football team, we have to deliver the W. So we let the fans down from that standpoint. But it's something that we can build on, something that we cherish, protecting that home, protecting the nest. And so we have to do better at home as far as winning games and make sure everybody goes home happy. But as far as the atmosphere and the enthusiasm of the fan, the band performing well, just from A to Z, I just thought it was a great weekend for Alabama State.
And then the follow-up to that, you mentioned Bayou Classic. Now, you said Grambling used to beat up on Southern. I'm going to have to check that out, Coach. I don't like that because I'm a Southern Jaguar. I don't like that.
My dad's a Southern Jaguar too. I was rooting for Southern, but a lot of times we win the halftime. We couldn't win the game back in those 70s and the early 80s.
Good luck this weekend, Coach.
Appreciate it.
Next question goes to Ken Rashad.
Coach, as much as I know you like to speak about the game itself, I would be remiss if I didn't ask. Given the comments that you made over the weekend after the situation with Deion Sanders, have you had conversations with President Williams or with AD Brian about those comments, and what were those conversations like if they were had?
No, I haven't had any conversations with the president. Are you talking about my president, AD, or?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Your president, AD at A&M.
Correct. So my president is President Dr. Ross, and my AD is Dr. Cable. So I definitely talk with both of those guys. My biggest thing with the press conference, I think everything that I said is what I meant to say. My apology was more from a standpoint of the language. So you have to have a zero tolerance on that. Even it just can't happen. So I pride myself on being in control of myself at all times, which I was. But at the end of the day, the language has to be 100% on par, and that was the mistake that I made. So I'll make sure I correct that, and it won't happen again. So that was the conversation.
And my apologies, sir. Wrong school, but thank you for the correction.
No,
all right.
Got it.
Coach Robinson, we sincerely appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we go to Alcorn State. Alcorn State head coach Fred McNair. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, man.
Coach, as always, thanks so much for taking some time to join us. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Mississippi Valley State.
I think they put forth a great effort. I commend Coach Dancy at Mississippi Valley for the effort that he's putting in with that program at Valley. I always have those guys ready to play a 60-minute ball game. I tell my program as well, when we go to Valley, we have to play a 60-minute ball game to be able to win. So it took all 60 minutes of it to pull that victory out. Javion Howard scored 2 touchdowns there, and in the early first half, and Valley, they scored in the first half at 14-7 going into halftime. Came back out in the third quarter. We kind of sputtered a little bit and didn't do so well in the third. We were able to get a field goal, and we go up 24-7 there late in the fourth, and get another touchdown by a fumble recovery by Tyler Smith to score a touchdown to kind of ice it down a little bit for us. So it was a tough battle. I talked to Coach Dancy, before the game and talked to him after the game and just kind of embraced him and just told him how much respect I have for him during the course of his tenure there at Valley. So he's doing a great job at Valley, and will always put his best foot forward in coaching. Man, he's a great guy and great individual. At the end of the game, we talked and told him I love him and everything, man. So he's doing a great job with that program, man. It's just that, everybody deal with things. So, each and every school and athletic program deal with different things. So it's a fight that we have in terms of some of the issues that we have. So he's doing a great job. I commend him for the job he's doing. It was a tough fought battle. Play for 60 minutes.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach McNair. First question goes to James Hill.
Hey, Coach McNair, I hope you and everybody on the reservation are well. Just talk a little bit about the production offensively on the road at Valley.
Well, the biggest thing is, the week before we played Pine Bluff, we had a great running game going, and and I know everybody's going to start stacking the box and trying to stop our running game, and which we're not going to deviate from it. So we're gonna stick with it as long as we can. But so happened, our passing game was on point. Aaron Allen had a really good game in rushing and passing the ball. He was 22 of 29 for 299, and that was very productive in terms of what he did the week before. But like I tell everybody, I'm not going to throw the ball if I can run it very good. So, weighs your options. What you want to do? You want to stop the run? You want to stop the pass? So, good to see us being able to pass the ball successful this past week against Valley. So it was a great outing offensively. We didn't rush the ball as well as we should have. I think there were some things that our running backs were seeing they shouldn't have been seeing in terms of what was being blocked. So, but we'll pick it up this week. Got a great week ahead of us this week against a good Jaguar team down in Southern Baton Rouge. So we gotta be prepared to play another 60-minute ball game. It's gonna always be a fight for us.
Coach, you head into Southern, they're playing well. Just talk a little bit about the rivalry with Alcorn and Southern, and then also Coach Cassim and his legacy and his impact on the history of the SWAC.
I think the biggest thing is, going down to Southern, it's been a big rivalry for a long time. Even my tenure there at Alcorn, it's been a great rivalry for us. Whether they come here or we go down to Southern. So it's been a great rivalry, and it's gonna be a packed house. And, everybody gonna come see that one down in the Bluff. So Coach Cassim, he's been a great mentor of mine, and much highly respect for him and the things that he did at Alcorn State University. He recruited me coming out of high school. During that time, he left and became the athletic director at Southern back in 1986. So he's been a great guy, great mentor, great coach, a great inspiration to people as well. So things that he done for this conference, it's been overwhelmed. So and continue to show some of the things that he done in this conference. So things are still sticking out. Some of the things that he put in place in terms of coaches and the outcome of the department.
Thank you, Coach McNair. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta with Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Coach McNair, I wanted to talk a little bit about your quarterback, Aaron Allen. You talked about his stats in this last game, but he's been solid for the entire year. What makes him special in this game? He was able to spread the ball around the different wide receivers, which is always difficult to defend. What is he bringing to the team this year thus far?
Man, his quarterback IQ is overwhelming, man, and the way he studied it. He studied the game and studied defense, and especially secondary, and the things he's able to do. He's always asking questions, and in terms of the things that he see, and most of what he gonna see during the course of a ball game. He's been on a steady pace. He managed the game well, which I expect him to do during the course of a ball game. Don't turn the ball over. Make great decisions. If we got a bad play, put us in a good one, and I think he's done that over the past games he played. So this week against Valley, he really stepped up his game. Showed the people that he can pass the ball, and all those doubters out there that say that Alcorn couldn't pass. So, but we're not one dimension.
Right.
So we be able to run and pass the ball.
Yeah, it makes the team extremely tough. Want to follow up, obviously, on the Southern matchup that's coming up. Big game. You talked a little bit about the rivalry, but in terms of Coach Dooley was previous at Prairie View. You matched up with him. Now he's at Southern. In terms of schematics of what he wants to get done, how does it change when you change from a team that may have some players? Obviously, you have your natural attrition in college football, but how does that move on when you go and see him now at Southern in terms of what you believe he can get done in this matchup? What are you going to try to stop from a defensive perspective?
It's no different in terms of a coaching philosophy. I mean, whether he go from a Prairie View to Southern, I mean, Coach Dooley gonna be the same. You know, he's gonna be so-called. People say he's the offensive guru, but you know, we have a philosophy too. You know, we play fast and get after people as well. So it's gonna be a great matchup for us. Him being a Southern, I think it's no different. I think it's a place that he want to be, and he's a Louisiana person. So I think that, you know, our task is cut out for us, and in terms of what we got to do defensively to stop their offense. They're gonna play fast, and we're very capable of playing fast well on that side of the ball, on the defense side of the ball. So we run through that every day during the course of practice, tempo stuff. So we'll be ready for it in terms of what we got to do to win a ball game.
Thank you, Coach. Look forward to this matchup.
Try to take two more questions quickly. First, Perry Daniels.
So, Coach McNair, good morning. You talked about the relationship with Coach Dancy and the great job that he's doing. Is that the standard for SWAC coaches to have that type of camaraderie, or is that a unique situation with Coach Dancy for you?
You know, I think this conference is a very unique conference in terms of the coaching philosophy, the things they can accomplish during the course of a football season, or during the course of their tenure at any program that you're coaching in this conference. You know, you're all gonna have to fight your battles. You have to pick and choose the one you're gonna try and win. In terms of what you need as a football program to get the things to be successful on the field, in terms of making the kids happy, getting the kids to class and all that kind of stuff. So it's a very big task for head coaches. You know, we don't have all the things that the Power 5 schools have, but you know, just being able to find resources to make your program better each and every year is always a challenge for things you don't have and things that you need. So as a SWAC conference, you know, it's getting better. We just got a long way to improve to get to where we need to be in terms of this conference, I think. So we just have to make sacrifices, I think, in terms of the administration part and being very supportive of the programs that we're working with in our department and all of them, you know, all the sports. So, you know, in terms of what we need to be successful as a program, you know, I think that we have to work closely together as an administration and athletic department.
Last question goes to Jim Kleinpeter.
Yeah, Coach, about Aaron Allen, and he succeeded Felix Harper. Were they close? I mean, did they work closely together? Did he pick up a lot from playing behind him?
Well, Aaron came in after Felix left. Felix was gone. We brought Aaron in the spring. Felix was already gone, but you know, the things that Allen is doing is very unique too as well. Some of the stuff that Felix did when he was here. You know, we still have the RPO deal to make us right as coaches, to get us out of a bad play. He managed the game with him is very common to him, and I think he make great decisions with the ball in terms of what needs to go. You know, so you know, it's competitive from what Felix was here, but I think Aaron Allen is doing a great job for us right now.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach McNair, we sincerely appreciate your time. Look forward to speak to you again next week.
All right, guys. Appreciate you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Next, we go to Bethune-Cookman and head coach Terry Sims. You see Coach is there with us. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Coach, as always, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. Coach Sims, if you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Tennessee State.
Well, I think, you know, we started the game the way we wanted to. You know, we kicked off and went down and we stopped them and drove the field, didn't score a touchdown, but we ended up getting a field goal out of it. And Did the same thing the second series, but ended up getting the field goal blocked. And it seemed like what could go wrong over the next 12 minutes did go wrong. We fumbled a punt and they scored, and we threw an interception and they scored. I don't think our guys quit, and we're not going to use, everyone I've had a conversation with saying, well, you guys have been on the road since the 27th of September, which we have. Our campus was evacuated. We had to spend a week in Chattanooga, and we just spent a week in Nashville, and now we're in Jacksonville. But I don't think that's an excuse. We just didn't get it done. We had way too many mistakes, and we had some personal fouls and some penalties at critical moments, some third and longs for them, and we converted a couple third and longs ourselves and ended up having them called back. So they're just things that we have to correct, and we have to understand, what we're dealing with, and understand that we have to worry about the things we can control. Again, I think my hat goes off to our administration. They've been taking care of us since we've been out on the road and making sure we have the things we need. Tennessee State was great while we were there, Vanderbilt and Lipscomb University. All of those schools chipped in, and, they tried to lend a helping hand when they could. But as far as the game, I just don't think we got it done. And the coaches know it, the players know it. I've made everyone around this camp aware that we just did not get it done.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach Sims. First question goes to Charles Bishop.
Good morning, Coach Sims. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm good. And you?
Doing well. I wanted to ask a little bit about Jalen Jones, former Jackson State quarterback, and the dynamic that he's brought to your Bethune-Cookman program. He's one of the top passers in the league, as well as one of the top rushers as far as rushing average.
Well, Jalen is an experienced quarterback. He's a seasoned guy, understands the game. He understands what it takes. And I said this about Jalen last week. I think Jalen's his only real fault is he's a perfect play guy. He wants to do well all the time. He wants to make every play that we have the perfect play. And sometimes that gets us in trouble. But he has brought a dynamic to this offense and to this team that we have been missing for a while. We just have to continue to have some guys help him out and not, hurt ourselves and shoot ourselves in the foot with senseless penalties in critical situations.
A quick follow-up on the defensive side of the ball. Amari Hill-Robinson, this is the third week in a row that he's had a pick. Talk about his ball hawking skills over there on the defensive side of the ball.
Well, Amari is who he is. He's the same guy he was last year and the year before. He's a guy that works hard. He practices just like he plays. He prepares for games. He's a huge film guy. So he understands his opponents. He understands what's happening, to him in the course of a game. So we're just happy to have him around here and have him continuing to play at the level that he's playing.
Sure thing. Appreciate it, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta with Dr. Cavill's Inside HBCU Sports Lab. Coach Sims, are y'all back in Florida, or y'all still on the road in terms of your lodging status?
I appreciate you asking me that. We are back in Florida, but we are still on the road. We are in Jacksonville. Our campus is not completely open yet, and our president, didn't think it made much sense for us to come back to Daytona, and they may not have everything ready for every student athlete or every student that we have traveling with us. So we're in Jacksonville now. We'll be here until after the game on Saturday, and then we'll go back to campus after that.
Thank you, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to ask you a little bit about obviously the Tennessee State matchup and how you move that into the Jackson State matchup in terms of where you are. You talked a little bit about the number of penalties and obviously some turnovers that were costly. What things that you do in preparation, particularly as you're on the move? How do you go through that process of philosophically making sure mentally that the kids are there, but also training football techniques to make sure they continue to get better at their game?
Well, first and foremost, you have to make sure that the players have some sense of normalcy. So as coaches, that's on us to prepare. And we have, Edward Waters and Jacksonville University, as well as the Jaguars, that are helping us out with practice facilities, meals, with things, weight rooms for us to work out. So all those things are things that you normally do. They're just at a different site. And again, I think myself, along with our staff, and that's just not just coaches, is every staff member that's around here, we're continuously preaching to all these young people that we have to control what we can control. And we have to make sure that we stay focused on what, the job at hand, the task at hand, and not let it worry us and interfere with our preparation. So, that's on us to make sure that this thing is done the way it should be done, and make sure that these young people have everything they need to move forward.
Thank you for the holistic perspective there. Appreciate that, Coach.
Try to get two more questions in quickly. First one goes to James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and the guys are well up in Jacksonville. Can you talk a little bit about Darnell, what he's been able to do on kickoff return and really going out and competing?
Well, Deez is a special talent. He's a guy that just, he has a knack, with kickoffs, and, Coach McCoy has done a great job with our kickoff return team. Deez did the same thing last year. And I think he's just a guy that has a knack. You find a guy every now and then that has it for kickoffs, and he just has it. He's not afraid of anything. He understands how to read all of his blocks. And I think, one thing that he does that you can tell when a kickoff guy is for real, he hits everything full speed. And I think that kind of shocks some kickoff teams when they see that. Our guys are doing a good job of blocking, but he is definitely doing a good job with his, reading his blocks and hitting the cup full speed.
Coach, talk a little bit about the character building of the gentlemen. They have an opportunity to kind of be not as comfortable and not in their normal routine, but it gives them an opportunity for growth and learning. Just talk a little bit about the challenge. And again, you play Saturday against Jackson State.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think you have to look at this whole group, and they have been a resilient group. Our guys have not folded. They have not quit. We've made some mistakes in these last two games that cost us. They were at critical times, but those are things that we can fix. I think, first and foremost, you look at the way they prepare every day. They're lifting in foreign weight rooms, 2 or 3 different weight rooms. They're lifting, with equipment that they may not be familiar with. They're in settings as far as practice that they're not used to. And they're eating in cafeterias, but not one guy has complained. And they still come to work. So I think you find out a lot about people, a lot about each other when you have to spend this much time, out on the road together. But, I'll say it again. I said it all, last week to every reporter in Nashville. HBCU life, I think it prepares you for moments like this. We're built for this. We're fine. We have not had the outcome we would have liked with some of the games, but as far as these guys continuing to move forward and not giving up, it's just something that you can, charge to the lessons learned of attending HBCU and everyone sticking together and everyone having each other's back.
Last question goes to Donald Ware.
Good morning, Coach Sims. Appreciate your time. I thought it was interesting. You mentioned the 3 schools in Nashville that assisted you. You mentioned now with the Jaguars and Edward Waters and such. What is that? Can you kind of speak to that? That's interesting because you guys are programs that a lot of times compete against each other, but in times of need, those programs help you out just like you may help them if they were in the top.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same all the way around. I don't think it's a school that you could actually go to and try and use facilities or get some help, and they would turn you down if they're able to do it. That's just, the life we live as college coaches and college administrators. So I don't think it's something that's outside of what any of us think. We know where we're going. Once our administration has everything set up for whatever city we're going to be in, then we start making calls and getting everything set up. We've done it in the last this is the third city because we had to do it in Chattanooga, and we had to do it in Nashville, and now we're doing it in Jacksonville. So I just think it's college coaches, college administrators. We all understand the struggles that we all have to go through, and people are always there to lend a helping hand, I believe.
And then as a follow-up, had you had any, connection or, partnerships with the Jaguars in the past, since you guys are in these, relatively close proximity?
We have had some contact with them just for program building and things like that in the past, but nothing major. They actually reached out to us, and a lot of it may have to do with us playing there on Saturday, but they reached out to us and asked if there was any way that they could help. And our deputy AD, George Bright, he's actually, I guess he's just getting back from their facility now. So we're doing a lot with a lot of different people helping us out. And, it's nothing but love and respect to all of them. And I know we would do the same if the roles were reversed.
Coach Sims, we sincerely appreciate your time, and we will continue to keep your team in our thoughts moving forward. And we look forward to speaking to you again next week.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we go to Florida A&M and head coach Willie Simmons.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Hey, good morning, Coach. Coach, thank you so much for your patience. I do realize we're behind schedule from your normal availability time, so we do appreciate your patience. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus South Carolina State.
Well, it was a great atmosphere, South Carolina State's first home game, so we knew it would be a great crowd. Rattler Nation showed up and traveled well like they always have in the past, and it was a great football game. We were able to build a comfortable lead going into halftime, up 17-0, and I was able to get up as much as 20-0, and then had two untimely turnovers on back-to-back possessions that they turned into points, and then we found ourselves in a dogfight there in the fourth quarter. But again, I tip my hat to our team's resilience, their resolve, their willingness to never doubt and continue to just fight and persevere. And our defense stood up, had a great fourth down stand there, and was able to come out of there with a big victory that pushes us to 4-2 and keeps us in the conversation as one of the premier teams in the FCS. And so, again, great win for the program, a lot of momentum, and hopefully we can carry that over to this weekend as we travel up to Grambling, Louisiana, and take on the Grambling State Tigers, a team that's playing much better football than their record may indicate. So it'll be another tough challenge for us, but our guys are preparing hard right now, and we'll definitely be up for the challenge at hand.
Appreciate those comments, Coach Simmons. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Coach Simmons, I must say, I really like the pullover.
I got one for you when you're ready.
All right, just making sure. With that being said, your quarterback play really started off well in that first half, maybe not as well the second half, but a lot of the eyes was on Shaq Davis, as they call him, with his 2 touchdowns and big catches. But Xavier Smith, 5 receptions, 102 yards, 20 yards average, got in the end zone. Over the last several weeks, he's been playing really lights out in a lot of ways. Talk a little bit about his play in that matchup.
Well, Xavier's showing why he's one of the most dynamic receivers in all of America, not just in the SWAC or an HBCU landscape. He's done this since we've gotten here. He's a special player, special talent. No one works harder, no one cares more, no one loves FAMU more than Xavier Smith, and he's a true success story and a true example of what hard work really does for you. So, we've done our best job to try to force feed him. Those 5 catches for 102 yards were all in the first half. And so when we started strong, Jeremy did as well, but came out the second half. I think Jeremy tried to force a few throws, pressed a little bit, and just didn't take what the defense gives us. And that's something that we always talk about. But, he's a guy that's going to learn from those mistakes and bounce back. And, hopefully we'll continue to throw the ball at the level we're throwing it. Definitely got to run it better, because right now we're not running the ball very well at all. Dead last in the conference in rush yards per game. So got to figure out a way to get the ground game going. And that'll continue to open up opportunities for Xavier Smith and K-Dot, Jamari Shareed, David Manigo, and those other dynamic wideouts we have.
I want to talk about your next matchup with this follow-up question. You go to Eddie G. Robinson Memorial Stadium. Obviously, you've done that when you were a coordinator over at Alcorn. With Prairie, you had the State Fair Classic, so you matched up with them, but not in the whole in terms of the stadium there. Now you're taking FAMU, two historic, rich programs. But what do you want to get done in this matchup from a defensive perspective? Because you talked about the play against South Carolina State, holding them to 14 points with big plays, particularly at fourth down stop in the end zone, near the end zone. What did that mean? What do you want to see this team do and some of the players that are playing big right now? Talk about them, please.
Well, I want to see us continue to do what we've done the last 4 weeks, which is commit ourselves to stopping the run, eliminate big plays, and be opportunistic when our opportunities present themselves. And that's what they've done. And when we do that, we play as well a defense as anybody, So, again, everyone knows about Isaiah Land and the job that he's done. But Isaiah Major's playing at a level that is definitely All-American and all-conference caliber. I mean, he's all over the field. I think he's the second or third leading tackler in the conference now. But, again, just a dynamic football player that's doing really good things. Our secondary is really coming together. We had 3 interceptions last week. The Bowler brothers both had 1 apiece. And Javon Morgan's really starting to play the ball that we knew that he could play coming into the season. And so I think we found a great rotation there in the back end. And but they're going to be challenged. Obviously Grambling's not going to lay down. They're going to challenge us. They're going to put stress on us. They have one of the most dynamic running backs in the conference in Maurice Washington. They have Lyndon Rash, who's a big play receiver, much like Shaq Davis. Doesn't have the length that Shaq does, but he's still a guy that can hurt you if you don't know where he is. And so, again, we got to play team football like we always have on defense, swarm to the ball, play our responsibilities, and make them snap it again, which is our motto.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend. Look forward to the matchup.
Thank you, Doc.
Next question goes to Ken Rashad.
Coach, how you doing, sir? Ken Rashad, HBCU Sports. When you look at this matchup on Saturday, and you obviously are looking at Blue Buds, FAMU and Grambling, but you're going to be facing a Grambling squad that's certainly taken some lumps since the start of the season. How do you go into this game with your squad in terms of them possibly not trying to play down to their competition, considering the team's record at this point?
Well, one thing for sure, when you have a program that's as storied as Grambling, you can't ever take a team like that for granted. We took our lumps early in the season. We went on the road and lost Carolina, and we had the most embarrassing loss in program history the next week to Jackson State. And so we had to pick ourselves up by our bootstraps and go to work. And that's what Grambling's having to do now. They're really figuring out what type of team they're going to be, what type of coaching staff they're going to have, and what type of program they're going to be. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. So, again, when you bring in the coaches as good as Hugh Jackson, as experienced as Hugh Jackson, it's only a matter of time before they figure it out. And so our goal is to give them one more week before they got to figure it out, right? Let's let them figure it out the week after we play them. So just continue to put pressure on them, take advantage of the things that we do well, try to minimize the things that they do well, right? Put a great game plan together, be prepared to overcome any adversity that may come our way. But we got to prepare for a 60-minute ball game, and we know that the goals that we set for ourselves are all contingent upon us, taking care of business. So we can't rest, we can't relax. Whether the team is 6-0 or 0-6, we know that they're standing in the way of us achieving our ultimate goal, which is to play in the postseason. And so that's our mindset right now. And our guys have done a pretty good job of locking in on that message.
Real quick follow-up, Coach. Hugh Jackson has literally played 3 different quarterbacks over the course of the season. How do you prepare for a matchup like that, in which at any given moment you've got 3 different quarterbacks who could possibly do some damage? How do you prepare for a game like that?
Well, I think the biggest thing is you figure out what the overall philosophy is. No matter which quarterback you're playing, the offensive coordinator, which I think Coach Jackson calls it, has an identity of what they want their offense to look like. Is that a run first, establish the run, hit your own play action pass? Is that to air it out and let that open up the run? Is that to try to be balanced? Is that to get it to your playmakers early and often, right? There are different trains of thought as to how do you go about building an offense. And so once we know what that philosophy is, then it's okay. Well, each quarterback has a different skill set. So what's the strength of the guy that's playing, what they try to do with him, and how do we take it away? And then whatever quarterback's in, just having that thought process in place. And so we identify who's in the game, and that's not just quarterback, that's at every position. I think it gives us a better chance to be able to neutralize what they're trying to do. And for the last few weeks, our defense has done a really good job of trying to take away their best players. Shaq Davis had 2 big touchdown catches the other day, but for all intents and purposes, outside of those 2 big jump balls after turnovers, we would have held him to 3 catches, which is as good as anybody's ever done against that kid because he's a special talent.
Last question goes to James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and the fellas are well. Talk about Mr. Musa, 17 of 38, 266, 2 at South Carolina State. Just talk a little bit about his development, SEC guy playing in the SWAC.
Well, it was a tale of 2 halves. I thought the first half he played, lights out football. I thought he played poised. I thought he made some great decisions with the ball. Coming out of the second half, it was one of those deals where we felt defensively that we could contain those guys, so we didn't need to take a lot of chances offensively. The 2 interceptions were RPOs, and they were just plays that could have gone either way, right? Jeremy and I watched the film yesterday. We kind of talked through the thought process of it and just being situational masters, which is something that we talk to our guys about being all the time. And so it's not necessarily that they made the wrong decision. It's just that it was a wrong decision in that time of the game, right? And so, again, it's just about him learning. He's still a guy that hadn't played a lot of snaps in the latter part of his college career. He played earlier in JUCO, but since he's been at the Division I level, these are his only meaningful snaps. So he's 6 games in, and he's learning it more every week. He's playing behind an offensive line that's still trying to come together. And so the more comfortable he gets, the more he's able to analyze the defense and see what's going on and use that big brain that he has and just let the game come to him and make the decision once the ball is snapped, as opposed to sometimes predetermining. He's got a chance to be an elite quarterback. And so that's just something that he's continuing to work on. He's our unquestioned leader. He's our unquestioned starter. And, he knows that. So it's not like he's pressing because he's looking over his shoulder. He's our guy, right? And the other guys know that. And if he goes down, the next guy up, got to be ready to go. But I think Jeremy will continue to get better and lead this offense. And I think when it's all said and done, he'll be in that conversation, as one of the elite quarterbacks at the FCS level.
Coach, I sincerely appreciate your time. We look forward to speak to you again next week.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Next up, we go to Grambling State and head coach Hugh Jackson. I do see we have Coach with us. Coach, thank you so much for your patience. I do realize we're a tad bit behind schedule, so we do appreciate your patience. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. No, everything's fine.
Absolutely. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Alabama A&M.
Obviously, it was a tough loss. I thought our team fought extremely hard, double overtime loss. I see us growing, doing some things better. We got to continue to keep growing and keep getting better.
Appreciate those opening comments. We'll now open it for questions for Coach Jackson. First question goes to G. Thomas.
Hey, good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
I'm Gerald Thomas. I'm from the Tallahassee Democrat, FAMU beat writer. I wanted to just ask you just about the history of Grambling and FAMU with Jake Gaith out of FAMU and Eddie Robson out of Grambling. Just tell me the importance of just that matchup of just 2 historic HBCU football programs coming together this weekend.
Oh, it's very important. And it's important to us as our next opportunity. And obviously, FAMU's playing extremely well. Coach Simmons got them rolling, got them heading the right direction, and we're still finding our way. But obviously, the history between both programs is unprecedented. 2 really good football programs, one that's really established himself now in FAMU, and Grambling, we're trying to get it back.
Thank you, Coach.
Next question goes to Ken Rashad.
Coach Ken Rashad, HBCU Sports. Coach, you have gone 3 straight games so far with the players not being able to play with the stickers on their helmet. But at 1-5, and you've indicated that the players need to earn those Gs. But at 1-5, at what point do you and your coaching staff take some level of responsibility for those players not being able to earn those Gs?
Well, we take responsibility for it all. I mean, this is me, and it's a top-down thing. But at the same time, our players know that there's a special level that we want to get to and how we play, how we do things on and off the field, and we're going to get there.
And as a follow-up, you had 3 quarterbacks. All 3 quarterbacks played during the course of the game. Has there been anybody or a particular front runner who might be the leader going into this game Saturday against FAMU?
No, I don't think so. Not yet. I mean, we got guys that all played, and I think what's important is those guys went in there and did some really good things that helped our football team be in position to have a chance to win the game there at the end. So we'll see where we are during the week when we start practice and go from there.
Coach, you seem to your line had a tendency to struggle with a number of false starts due to a number of shifts that the Alabama defensive line had during the course of the game. What was the struggle with that, and is that something that obviously, how do you correct that going forward?
That's something we're going to really work on this week. Obviously, that was something they did. Have some young players playing there. But at the same time, we got to do everything we can to make sure we eliminate those. The penalties is an issue, has been an issue, and we got to get it fixed.
Appreciate it, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Next question goes to James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and everybody in Grambling are well. Just talk a little bit about continuing to build this program, put your stamp on this team, and one day they will get to earn the G to wear and represent Grambling. Just talk about building this thing up.
Absolutely. I think we're in this process and we get it. We think we're really going to change this culture and build this program to where we think it should be. It's not easy. And I think people think some things just happen overnight, turn a switch or whatever that is, and it happens, but it takes time. I think there's a total cultural switch that is going on here, really organizational realignment that way, that our players are starting to understand at a higher level of how we do things, like I keep saying, on and off the field, to make sure that we get exactly where we need to be, because I think they all go hand in hand. But I think we're well on our way. I thought we've seen some real life signs last week, and we're looking for those guys to improve this week.
Coach, in closing, just talk about this week's game and some of the things that you see that you want to get better in and match against the other team you play.
Absolutely. I think, again, it's a big game. It's a big game for us. We're finally at home. We've been on the road for 6 weeks. We finally get an opportunity to play in front of our fans and family and friends, and we're looking forward to that. We've been road warriors. And again, the road hadn't been great to us. So now we'll be home. I think our guys, as we move forward, we obviously got to hone in on this penalty issue and continue to grow in that area. Got to make sure we take care of the football. And again, we got to, stop the run on defense. So we understand what we need to deal with as we move forward.
Thank you, sir.
Goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Jackson.
Good morning.
Wanted to ask you a little bit about in that last matchup, how challenging are the turnovers in terms of doing and inputting the philosophy you want in terms of taking care of the ball and being able to matriculate offensively down the field to get more momentum in your offensive side of the ball?
Yeah, no, it's tough. I mean, I think anytime you have penalties, they knock you back. And sometimes they're happening at critical times. You have a turnover or two. We put the defense in a tough spot last week. We had another turnover that was, I think on the other side, on our side of the field as well. So we got to continue to understand about being team protecting as well. And I don't think the quarterback on the first one, I think, we had some protection things that broke down that way. But at the same time, we're going to do everything we can to minimize those, take care of the ball better. Like I said, hone in on this penalty issue and continue to get better as a program.
A follow-up question, next matchup with FAMU, the Rattlers, in terms of what they're getting done offensively, what are some things that you want to see your defense get done against them this week,
Sure.
particularly.
Important is, and obviously we got to stop the run. Any team you play, in this conference, you try to make them as much one-dimensional as you can. And obviously they can run the football and they can throw the football. They got some very quality receivers. So we got to keep those guys in front of us, inside of us, so that we know where they are, so that we can do a great job of making sure the ball doesn't go over our head. And when they run it, we got to make sure we gang tackle the football.
Coach Jackson, we sincerely appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up, we go to Arkansas Pine Bluff and head coach Doc Gamble. You see, we have Coach with us. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Coach, as always, thank you so much for your patience and thank you for taking some time to join us. If you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing at home versus Texas Southern.
Hard-fought game, close game. Went down really to each team's last possession. Started out, both teams played really good defense. It was a good defensive battle. We missed some opportunities early to take the lead, and then they came back. I think it was really a tale of two drives. They had one 94-yarder and scored, and then at the end of the game there, with about 7 minutes left, they drove 75 yards after we scored. We got the ball back with about 4 minutes left, about three and a half minutes or so. Drove down to their 21-yard line, and then we stalled out, in needing a touchdown to tie the game, touchdown in the PAT to tie the game. And then they stopped us on fourth down. Much improved defense, like I said before, with those guys. They've, I always say styles makes fights, and they're playing a good style of brand, good brand of defense. For them, all you have to do is look at their scores with comparable opponents. They were able to blank Southern and then played outside of Prairie. You played everybody else tough. So they're very stingy on defense, and that's a little different from what they have been in the past. So, but it was a good game. Proud of our guys the way we fought. Was upset and disappointed about the result of it, but we got to find a way to win these close games.
Appreciate those comments, Coach Gamble. First question goes to IC Morrell.
Coach, good morning. How you doing?
I'm good. How about yourself?
Just well, sir. Thanks very much. Coach, you talked about the defense and, aside from the North American game, I mean, this was you all limited Texas Southern to the least amount of points this season, 24. You still had some guys injured on the defensive line. What the linebacker area? What I want to ask is, what adjustments did you make to shore up things on defense, especially with the injuries that you had?
Well, we just, you had to coach up what you have to work with, I think we had a great game plan defensively. Our defensive staff came up with a great game plan, and we didn't want body. He's going to have move the ball. We just didn't want him to have a game like he had against us a year ago. So, but we had a great plan. And then our younger linebacker crew, which our top guys are out, but those other guys stepped up and played really well with the redshirt freshman, redshirt sophomore, and true freshmen. They did a good job. They did a good job, and they answered the bell. They took on the challenge, and they took advantage of us one time. They got one score on us, and that's probably a little insider tip. They got a former coach on their staff over there, so he knew our personnel really well. And I said that was a gimme from him being on their staff. So he knew our personnel, but they had one little wrinkle, and it worked out for him down in there, down the stretch there.
Mm-hmm. You all are going to St. Louis, and it used to be tradition for UAPB to play every year in St. Louis, but you're playing a conference opponent there, and normal rotational manner. Alabama A&M would come to Pine Bluff. How do you feel about going to St. Louis in the middle of a season like this to take on Alabama A&M when you're trying to turn around your season like this?
Well, it's not like this game got put up on. We were told about this game this week, so we've been looking forward to it, and we're looking forward to going up there to play. It's going to be fun. It's different for us. You see everybody else playing in classics, and our guys want those opportunities to play in those classics as well. And there is a buzz about it, from our alumni base and people in St. Louis. That is a heavily recruited area for us, as well as for A&M. They get up in there and recruit. So it's it's one we've been looking forward to and going to play. And then, you just happen to be playing a conference opponent there. And it's one that we've been, banging heads with here since I've been the head coach. So, but we're looking forward to it and then being able to go up and play on Sunday. I don't think too many other college teams are playing on Sunday this week.
Coach, thanks very much.
All right, thank you.
Next question goes to James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and the fellows are well in Pine Bluff. Just talk a little bit about Skyler and also Mr. Britton and your offensive attack, if you will, for the Golden Lions.
When we're going, when we're going, it's a work of beauty, but we're starting to sputter at times, and then Skyler's working his way back into the saddle. He had a gutsy performance. He gutted some things out last week for us, and he was unable to play all the way, wasn't able to play at all against Southern, and he wasn't going to be denied this week. So, but he's fighting his way back to get back to 100%. Offensively, we still, good up front, just a little bit more consistency throughout the game, not sputtering late in the games. And then Britton is dynamic, one of the more dynamic running backs you'll see in our conference. And, and he should have eclipsed 100 yards here. He's just shy of 100 yards this past week. So, but we still got a ways to go. We got to get back to us putting a lot of points on the board, and that's what the expectation is for us.
Last question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta with Dr. Cavill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Game went back and forth, tough game. Seemed like the last person with the ball got it done. What do you like to see with your defense of being able to get a couple of more stops, particularly in key moments of a game like that?
Well, that's, I told the staff this morning, I said we played extremely well defensively. We pretty much kind of boxed in a dynamic quarterback. We turned him over. He's a talented dude. And then, we held on with the outside play, really good pass defense last week, played the run well. But it was that one series that we needed to get that one last stop. And they went the length of the field after we scored. We turned them over. That defensively gave us the opportunity to get the score, with the short field. And then we, kicked the ball out and then they got the 175 yards, a couple of big plays within that drive, missed tackles here and there. So those are the things that we have to shore up defensively, is at the end of the day, you just got to be 1 point better, but that last drive they had, it was they had a few big plays within that drive that kind of, we got to shore that up.
In that matchup, you already talked about where it's going to be played, but it's against Alabama A&M. And since that spring championship matchup, it's been pretty intriguing matchup between the two teams. Is Skyler Perry going to be able to go in this matchup in terms of his health continuing to get stronger and better as you move forward?
Yeah, Skyler play, and it will be. He's not going to be denied this time, and we really at Southern, we just dressed him just so that they didn't see, that he wasn't going to play, but we knew he couldn't go at all. But he can go, and he knows that this is a stretch run for him, so he's not going to be denied being able to play. So he's gonna play for us, and then I'd always tell him now, when you play, we expect you to play well, So we'll do everything that's going to fit what he can do, and then we'll go from there.
Coach Gamble, we sincerely appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we go to Mississippi Valley State and head coach Vincent Dancy. I do see Coach is there with us. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing great, Coach. Coach, as always, thank you so much for your time. If you could please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Alcorn State.
I thought we played hard. I thought we went into the game with a game plan, especially defensively. I know we wanted to stop the run with the great run game that they have down at Alcorn. Offensively, we wanted to, get the ball in Caleb Johnson's hand, which we did at times. And I thought early on we had some success, especially offensively. We moved the ball a little bit. I thought turnovers hurt us offensively. We turned the ball over at some crucial times, especially when we was moving the ball and we was on their side of the field. But defensively, I thought they stood up for a while. They held up for a while, all the way to the fourth quarter. But I thought our offense put them in bad position by turning the ball over. And, Alcorn capitalized on it. But hard fought game. Just tough to come out on the losing end, but give credit where credit's due. Alcorn is a good team. Coach McNair always have his guys ready to play, well respected, and just gotta learn how to finish these games.
Appreciate those comments, Coach Dancy. First question goes to Dr. Cavell.
Coach, you want to talk a little bit about those turnovers and how challenging they are in regards to trying to put up more points on offense as you move the ball?
It's crucial. And I mean, they come at the worst time. We had one, we was driving the ball and I think the quarterback checked and didn't tell the back, so the back ran into his arm and we fumbled right there, giving them the ball right there I think on the 20-yard line, and they kicked it. They had a field goal after that one. And then another crucial one, in the last few minutes where the quarterback was scrambling and the ball got hit and they scooped and scored it. So those turnovers are crucial, and that's something that we're trying to work on. We're working on it every week. Not turning the ball over, because I think that's a remedy to losing when you turn the ball over, and especially in crucial times. And so we got to find a way that not to put our defense in such terrible situations on offense by turning the ball over.
Your team has been playing well on defense, but with your next matchup against Alabama State, they've been playing pretty well on defense, at least in terms of their scoring, stopping the scoring momentum of various teams that they played for, particularly at the FCS level. What is the challenge with your team as you not being able to get your offenses going as much as you want, about understanding how crucial every play is when you coming up with such a formidable defense it looks at with Alabama State?
Yeah, Coach Robinson got that team playing hard. In this short stint there, they're a different team than they were. And yes, defensively they play extremely hard. They play extremely tough. They blitz you a lot. They play a lot of man-to-man coverage. And we just got to take advantage of some of it. We just can't, like I say, we just can't turn the ball over. Like I said, we wanted to sustain some drives this week, and we did that. But like I said, we turned the ball over at some crucial times. And so that's something that we just have to continue to work on and continue to go out weekend, this weekend practice and continue to work on it. But as far as we just got to take it one play at a time. That's what I tell them every time they touch the field, just one play at a time, one possession at a time. And that's something that, we're going to continue to do. But we have to continue to make strides offensively in order to win a game. I think, defense can play. They play lights out sometimes, at times. And most of those times they're holding their end. Offensively, we just got to find a way to capitalize on some opportunities that we have. Even though, this season has been rough, offensively, changing coordinators, making those adjustments when it comes to the players. But we just have to find a way. We just have to find a way offensively to put the ball in the end zone.
Last question goes to James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and everybody back in the Delta are well. When you think about moving forward, the opportunity to go into Alabama State to get one, just talk about the process, continuing to work and get guys ready to play.
I think that's the key, and it starts at practice. We have to find a way, man. But it won't be easy. This is a good Alabama State team. It won't be easy. We're going into we're going to their house. We're going in their house, and with them coming off a tough loss this weekend, I know this game won't be easy for us. And like I say, it's a different Alabama State team. You gotta be well prepared, and especially their defense. Their defense has been playing extremely tough over the past few weeks. So we just gotta continue to go out and playing like we usually playing, but again, we got to sustain drives, and we have to finish drives, and we can't turn the ball over and put our defense in tough situations with their backs against the wall and depending on them to make a stop every opportunity, every time that they take the field. But I think I think it'll be a good matchup. I think our defense will be ready to play offensively. We just got to continue to prepare and be ready to go out and execute and score some points this week.
Good luck in Montgomery.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Coach Dancy, as always, we sincerely appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. We go to Prairie View A&M and Coach McDowell. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning.
Coach, as always, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join us. Coach, if you would please start us out with an opening statement about your team's most recent outing versus Southern.
Well, I thought it was a great atmosphere to play college football, HBCU college football. PV Nation showed up, Jaguar Nation showed up, for these young men to go out there and play a good game. Fortunate for one, unfortunate for another. Unfortunate for us, we didn't go out and, again, just didn't play 4 quarters of football. We talk about it week after week, game after game. We got to figure out some way to get this second half thing together. I think this is the worst half that we've had since we started this season. And as coaching staff, and we got to figure out how to get this thing fixed with these young men real soon. And again, as I told them at the end of the game, we played against a good team that came out and played 4 quarters of football. They took advantage of all the mistakes, all the mishaps, all the lack of communication that we was doing defensively, and then they explored it. And anytime you have a good team like that, good athletes like that, that's what they do. That's what they're supposed to do. And unfortunate for us, again, we didn't recover that second half, be it offense and defensively. But again, going forward, I give Coach Dooley credit. He had them guys come out, second half, ready to play football, and they did it, and we didn't, and they got the win. So what we got to do is just come back, regroup. As I told them at the end of the game, we got to regroup and then get ready to go. All is not lost. We're still in the hunt. How bad they want to finish the season this year. And that's going to really depend on how well they come back, during this off week and get prepared to get ready to go against Lamar.
Appreciate those opening comments, Coach McDowell. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach McDowell.
Morning, Doc. Morning.
Thank you. I want to talk about the second half. You talked about some misreads and some negative plays that took place. Were there anything that you saw schematically they did differently, or was it more about just not being able to make some plays here and there, both offense and defense in that second half?
No, it wasn't. I mean, it was all on us. I mean, we're going back looking at the film from last night. And again, it's just us, us meaning the players making mistakes, man. We call the defense, and again, we talked about, or they're saying, you got to do your 100. And, we didn't do that the second half. I mean, we were blowing a lot of coverages, making a lot of mistakes, miscommunication, which again caused the mistakes. And that's on that, that was on them. And again, as I told them, we as coaches, we got to get it fixed somehow, some way. With these young men in the second half. But again, they got to go out and play football. If they just execute what they're told to do, we would have been fine, but we didn't do that. And we just got to figure out why they're not doing it, why they're, again, just deciding to just do their own thing. And again, we as a coach have to be able to correct that at some point. And we will. We'll get that done this week.
Quick follow-up. Is that basically what you are seeking to get done this open week?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, try to get some guys healthy. We still had some of our top guys still gimpy out there. Trey Green still with the ankle. Troy again with the ankle, although they still played. So again, it's just getting guys healthy, ready to go. We have yet to have a full squad healthy, going into all these games. But hopefully this week they can get those injuries well enough to get ready to play Lamar.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck.
Sure.
Next question goes to James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and the fellas are well. Can you talk a little bit about the 3 phases, offensive, defensive, and special teams? And that first quarter was solid. Second quarter, the first half was great. Just talk a little bit about your 3 phases of the game.
Yeah, offensively, again, like I said, we did some good things in that first half, first quarter, second quarter. But again, coming out second half, man, it's like we just lost our mind. We didn't know what was going on. We couldn't get lined up again. And that's some of the situation issues we've been having. Again, just guys not getting lined up when a formation is called, a play is called, and we having to take time out to get them lined up. We're trying to go hurry up. At one point where we got the momentum going, and we couldn't get guys lined up, and we ended up getting a penalty because of that. So again, that's on us, and I say us meaning me, because I'm the guy, so I got to be aware of what these young men not doing and what they're not seeing during the course of the game, and we got to be able to get these dudes to adjust, players to adjust to the atmosphere that's going on around them, because again, they know that they're gonna go through some adversities throughout the course of the game. They was told that, they'd be reminded of that daily. They just got to be big enough, athletic enough to overcome them, as well as defense. Again, we got out there second half, and we just act like we didn't know what we was doing, blowing coverages and not communicating. And had we done that, we would have been in great position to stop them. But again, when you have a good team like Southern or any other good team in the SWAC, all of them are good. They're gonna take advantage of it if you're not doing what you're supposed to do individually or as a unit, and they did exactly that. Special teams again wasn't bad, but we gave up a lot of field position that we shouldn't have, that we normally don't give up. But again, all those things are correctable. As I told them at the end of the game, we just got to come back in this week and hone in on what we need to do, and then get ready for Lamar, get healthy and get ready for Lamar.
Coach, the SWAC West, you guys are still in a good place, and there's a lot of football left to be played. Just talk a little bit about continuing to grind this thing out.
Absolutely, James. That's exactly what I told them. I said, look, all is not lost. So again, we're still in it. A lot of football left to be played. We're going to go up against some good teams, down the road here. Now it's on these guys and coaches, make sure again that, they're honing in on what they're supposed to do, and doing their due diligence, doing their job, man. Because again, if we go out and just do our job, do your job first, we'll be fine. And that's one of the things that we did not do that second half that we will get corrected, James. I promise you that.
Thank you, sir. Have a great bye week.
Thank you, sir.
Next question goes to Jim Klein-Peter.
Hi, Coach. Have you heard from the conference office about the scuffle that happened between players before the game, or do you expect to hear from them?
Yeah, I'm sure we will. Yeah, we will. I'm sure I will, should I say. But no, I have not heard from them yet. And again, we're still going, looking at the film, the video, should I say, and seeing all what happened. And again, I just happened to see it when I was coming up to the office and, rolling up the blinds, and I saw it going on. And I immediately rushed downstairs, and again, tried to get in the middle and get control of the situation.
And it was your understanding that some Southern players stomped on the logo, and that's what precipitated it?
Yes, sir. And that's what I was told. Yes, absolutely. And again, we know that, that's a no-no. Again, testosterone started flying around at that point. I think the only disappointing part to me was, again, as I got down there, I didn't see coaches from their side. I saw them standing there, but then was not, trying to, de-escalate the situation down there. And I know Coach Dooley is not about that. I would love to, again, coming downstairs, and being able to see as many coaches, in there as possible to minimize the players getting hurt or the throwing blows and everything. Because one of our kids got hit blindsided. I don't know who the kid was that did it from Southern, but I'm sure it's going to be looked at. But again, testosterone flying around because of that situation. And I had a chance to talk with Dumas last night, Jason Dumas, just to see what all happened, what was his view of it. And, and the kid, like, Coach, I don't want to I don't want to say anything. He didn't want to snitch on anybody. He said, look, coach, it was over with, it's done with. It was, we was going at each other, and and he said, I just want to leave it at that. The game is over with. I said, no, I said, okay, I respect that. And I said, but at the end of the day, I'll find out and see what's going on. And again, I'm pretty sure we're definitely going to hear from the SWAC office and later on as they continue to look at the video.
Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Coach McDowell, as always, we appreciate your time. We look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next, we go to Southern University and head coach Eric Dooley. You see, we have Coach there with us. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Coach, as always, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. Coach, if you would please start us out with an opening statement regarding your team's most recent outing versus Prairie A&M.
Yeah, went into a game. We know that it was going to be a great game. You're talking about two coaching staffs that are very, very familiar with one another. So we know that some adjustments were going to be made, but I thought it was a great atmosphere for college football, especially SWAC football, and I thought that was displayed on both sides, a hard-fought contest, and fortunate enough that we came out on top.
Coach, thank you so much for those opening comments. We'll now open it up for questions for Coach Dooley. First question goes to Kyle Mosley.
Hey, Coach, great win. What led to the adjustments that you had after halftime that you guys just went on a 35-point unanswered streak, but you guys really looked like after halftime you were more focused and more committed? What happened?
Well, I thought both teams came out had a great start. Both offenses was moving the ball. Of course, some defense had to make some adjustments, and I thought they did. But I won't say it was adjustments that was made. You always make adjustments, and I don't like to wait to halftime to make adjustments. I like to make adjustments as we go. So now it's not a whole thing that we find ourselves being too far behind. But I think some of the plays that we were running that we thought was there that we wasn't capitalizing on. I thought we took advantage of some of the things and made the plays work and come out, with a great second half.
Next question goes to Keisha Kelly.
Hey, Coach Dooley, Keisha Kelly, Black College Experience. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good. Congratulations on the win on Saturday. My question is, how did it feel, I'll say, quote unquote, to be back home? Because they were calling it the Dooley homecoming. How did it feel to be back at Blackshear Field?
Well, I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana. So I was far from home, but it was a place that gave me a great opportunity, and I'll be forever grateful and thankful of that for Dr. Simmons. God had an opportunity for me to go there. So of course, I create relationships that I think I keep because I have some great relationships with a lot of individuals there that I keep in touch with today. So it felt, I know it was going to be good. Didn't know what to expect. I just knew we had a 60-minute football game ahead of us.
Okay. And then I guess my follow-up is, I saw at the end of the game, a lot of hugging other, other players, and you could see the connection. So, good luck on this upcoming weekend. That's a nice outfit there, Coach.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Jim Kleinpeter.
Hey, Coach.
Good morning.
Good morning. Have you talked to Coach McDowell about the pregame scuffle at all? I know you hadn't had a chance to find out much about it, but what did you? What other investigating?
I just thought it was a great football game for to even bring up things like that. I'm an HBCU guy, no question about that. We understand what took place. You're talking about young individuals that we're building them to be quality young men once they graduate. I don't get into the negative thing. I'm a very positive guy. So the things for us talking about that, I think it's too many football questions that can be asked to talk about a well-played football game on both sides of the ball.
Do you expect to hear from the conference office about it?
The only thing I expect to do, prepare for the next game. Things take place, and I just think right now a lot of times, even as adults, we focus on things that are not important right now, and we understand that things are going to take place. But what about how was the third quarter? What happened to the fourth quarter? How did the guys respond? As you see, you can see that emotions was there, but at the end of the game, just from experience, she just not mentioned the love and everyone just really gathering one another. So we move forward. I don't never look in the rearview mirror. That windshield is a lot larger, so I look out the windshield mirror and keep moving forward.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Perry Daniels.
Congratulations on the win, Coach. Let's talk about looking forward. Let's talk about Fred, McNair and the Alcorn State Braves. What do you expect from this team coming up this week?
A great football coach, no question about it. I've been doing it for a while. I got a winning pedigree, and I expect this team to be prepared and ready to play. I expect a 60-minute contest because talking about it's going to be a well-coached football team. So we have our challenges ahead of us, and we just look forward to that game on Saturday.
And Coach, if you could, looking back just briefly, if you could talk quickly about the play of some of those guys that you recruited over at Prairie View, specifically Troy James and the receiver from Baton Rouge.
Well, it was more than those guys that had played and did some great things. Expected. When you put a guy on a recruiting board, you expect him to do well. Certain things take place to where you're no longer there. And as I tell folks all the time, once your steps are ordered by God, you just got to be obedient. My steps was ordered to be here. I'm just on a new assignment. So I wish those guys well. Those guys are doing well. And I'm not asking them about how they're doing on the football field. My main concern was, how are you doing in the classroom? How close are you to graduate? That's most important to me.
Thank you, sir. Good luck this week.
Thank you.
Next question goes to James Hill.
Hey, Coach, congratulations on that victory. Can you talk a little bit about Mr. McCray? He had a very good performance and what you saw out there with Bichon.
Thank you. Thank you. I tell you what, Bichon is, you starting to see just the work that he put in, I guess being in the film room studying as well. He's a very talented young man. Sometimes the games have to slow down for him a little and get adjusted to do some things. But I thought he did a great job. And I never asked my quarterback to manage the game. I think that's why they hired me on the sideline, and I try to manage this to the best of my ability. I just asked him to go out and win the game. That doesn't mean that he have to do everything on his own to win it. That means involving other folks and make them better around him. I thought he did an excellent job. Do we have some room to improve on? Absolutely. So we'll work on those things to try to get better.
Coach, the Alcorn State University game presents a great challenge. And then you look at the history of it with a gentleman like Coach Cassom. Can you just share your thoughts on Coach Cassom and how special he is in this rivalry?
They're very special. I had the opportunity to be here at Southern University as assistant coach when Coach Cassom was here and knew him well and always spoke to him and thought very highly of him. I thought, he was one of the pioneers of being in this conference right here, the things that he stood for and on both sides of both universities. So I know what he brought to the table as a football coach and did the same thing as an athletic director. So right now you're talking about two universities with a lot of history behind them playing one another. Goes way back, and I think it's just going to be a great contest come this Saturday.
Thank you, sir. Have a blessed week.
Thank you. You too.
Last question goes to Dr. Cavill.
Coach, wanted to ask you about the play. You talked about Bichon McCray, but your ability to score, not only convert, but score on third down efficiency was significant in that game. Two of your first three touchdowns were on third downs, and two of them were to Austin Petrie, wide receiver. He didn't have a big game in terms of yardage, but he had 3 receptions, and 2 of them were significant in terms of on those third downs for touchdown. Talk about what he's been able to bring to the table.
I thought those were some timely third down conversions that happened to be touchdown, which worked out for us. The young men, they worked together for a long time. This dates back all the way to the beginning of summer. And now you start to see some of the benefits pay off from those guys working hard and tireless times together. But just continue to work it and try to make sure that they understand what we're trying to do. The assistant coaches, I think, is doing an excellent job of getting them the playbook, what we say. And I know my playbook is a little different because I believe in as keeping it on the move. So some things that we have to do to get better. But those young men are doing well, especially McCray. doing a great job as far as commanding his offense and getting the ball to his playmakers, and that's what we expect him to do.
Due to time, I won't ask the follow-up question, but good luck this weekend against Alcorn State. Should be a significant and great matchup. I look forward to it, Coach.
Thank you, Doc.
Coach Dooley, as always, we sincerely appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, we go to Texas Southern and head coach Clarence McKinney. You see that we have Coach there with us. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning.
Coach, as always, thanks so much for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. Coach, if you would please start us out with an opening statement regarding your team's most recent outing versus Arkansas Pine Bluff.
Yeah, very fortunate to come good end of a very hard-fought game. This is a tough opponent. I think offensively we played well enough to win. We finished the drives that we needed to finish, and defensively, I think we played well enough to win again. I think we're improving on that side of the ball, and we were very sound in the game. My hats off to Pine Bluff. I think they had a great game plan for our offense. Came out and played solid, but fortunately for us, we scored enough points to win the game.
Appreciate those comments, Coach McKinney. First question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach McKinney.
Good morning, Dr. Cavill.
Game went back and forth. Really a hard-fought matchup defensively in so many different ways. Coming into the season, a lot of people talked about your offensive power, but it's the defense that has really provided a lot of spunk for the team. Talk about what you're able to get done defensively in this matchup that allowed for the success of the team.
I think we were able to create a few timely turnovers and then just do a really good job of containing their passing game and forcing them to be one-dimensional and rallying to the ball when they decided to run it.
Derek Morton really had some big yardage in that game in terms of what he's getting done, but Ja'Cory Howard got in the end zone. Talk about those receivers as well as what do you plan to do for this week as you're open?
Yeah, Derek Morton's been our leading receiver all season. He's the veteran of the group. We lean on him quite a bit with our passing game. And so we probably need to get the ball to him a little bit more because positive things happen when we do get him the ball. And then Ja'Cory Howard, who's a running back, I mean, he says he has the best hands on the team. So when we throw it to him, we expect him to catch it. And fortunate enough for us, he scored a touchdown that was much needed. And then as far as, our plans for the bye week, we plan on resting some guys, getting healthy. We're going to take a look at Alcorn and see if there's any weak links in the armor. So we know they're a tough opponent. Hopefully Southern beats up on them a little bit, softens them up for us. But we're going to focus on us getting healthy and seeing what we can do versus Alcorn.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the win. Look forward to following week when you play Alcorn.
Next question goes to James Hill.
Hey, Coach, I hope you and all the gentlemen are well. Talk a little bit about ball security and staying away from penalties.
Yeah, it's been an issue for us as far as the turning the ball over. No turnovers are good, but we at a really bad time within the game. That's something that we've got to work on, just making decisions and protecting the ball and not trying to do too much offensively. And the second part of your question was the penalties, I believe.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. For the first few weeks of the season, we didn't average but maybe about 3 penalties a game. And it seems like once we've gotten into SWAC play, we've gotten quite a bit more penalties than what we have a tendency to get outside of SWAC play. Our guys are just going to continue to play continue to play as hard as we can from the start to the end. And we're going to address those pre-snap penalties, and hopefully, we can get those officials to not call those penalties that we don't seem to see on the video.
Coach Andrew continues to develop and be productive offensively. Just talk a little bit about your quarterback, Andrew.
Yeah, Andrew's our leader. He's done a great job of leading the team and making plays when we need him to make plays. And teams are really doing a great job of trying to contain him. But he's doing a good job of using his weapons, both at the receiver position, at the running back position, and he gets a little frustrated at times because he's a playmaker. But the defenses that we've seen so far have done a really good job of trying to contain him, and he just has to lean on those playmakers a little bit more so they can open up things for him to be able to do what he likes to do.
Thank you, sir. Have a great bye week.
Thank you.
Currently taking questions for Coach McKinney with Texas Southern. Next question goes to John Bryce.
Hey, Coach. Very nice to speak with you this morning. Appreciate the time. I know you do have your bye week coming up. As you've grown and have developed as a coach, what have you found are some of the best ways to utilize a bye week and get the most benefit from it, especially coming off of a win?
Yeah, that's a great question. What I've done is just called around to my coaching friends around the country and just try and figure out what everyone else is doing, so I can see what's best for our team and our program. I think each year your bye week is different because it's within the season differently, placed within your schedule differently. For us, we're dealing with a lot of banged up guys, and so for us, I think it's best that we use this time to heal and get ready to finish this tail end of the season of our schedule on a positive note.
Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Congrats on the win. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Next question goes to Luke Williams.
Hi, Coach. Luke Williams from the Black College Sports Page. Kind of had an up and down season. Have the highs been, the ups been higher or the lows lower?
I just take it week to week. We enjoy what we do and helping young men grow and to become good citizens and really good football players. We don't take winning for granted. We know each week there's a chance we can be on either side of that coin, and we don't take it for granted. We enjoy it when we do win, and there's lessons and those losses, and so we take those lessons and we try and apply it to the next game, and hopefully we can come out with a win in our future.
In terms of where you want to see your team go, where do you think you are progress-wise?
I think we're on course. I think we're still a young team. We've competed really well throughout our season, even against our FBS opponents. Our guys are maturing as a team. I think we play really hard. We're playing a lot better defensively than what we've had in the past. And I think we're on course to be in the conversation for one of the better teams in the SWAC here in the future.
So the gap is narrowing between you and the teams at the top.
I'd like to think so.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Coach McKinney, as always, we sincerely appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next up here at approximately 11:55, we will go to Jackson State. Coach Sanders, once again, if you do have any questions for Coach, please utilize the raise your hand feature to get your question in the queue for Coach. Please limit your questions to one initial question, potentially a follow-up. If we do have availability left in our coach's time slots, we'll circle back to get additional questions answered. Please make sure that your lines are muted unless you are actively asking a question, and please wait to be called upon prior to asking your question. We're about a minute ahead of schedule for Coach Sanders. We'll be back momentarily. Thank you for your patience. Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, everybody.
Coach, as always, thank you so much for taking some time out of your schedule to join us. Coach, if you could please start us out with an opening statement regarding your team's most recent outing versus Alabama State.
First and foremost, I'm sorry. Can't be on here without the rocking the J. Apologize for not representing. How's everyone doing?
Great, Coach.
Wonderful day, great day, blessed day. Great game. Alabama State came to play. They were prepared. They were ready. They put up a tremendous fight. I loved every minute of it. I didn't like the dysfunction of it, but I loved every minute of it. Our team overcame tremendous adversity. Just the scheduling and the traffic that got us there a little tardy, that kind of threw off the rhythm early on in the game, and we started out tremendously slow because our guys weren't even there yet. They were still on the darn highway somewhere in traffic. But I got to give them credit. They overcame that nonsense, and they got out there and did what they needed to do and came on strong in the second half, which is a tribute to our strength and conditioning coach, Mo, that does a phenomenal job of conditioning our players. The second halves have been wonderful for us throughout the entire season. And it was a great homecoming. They put on a great show. I heard our band really did the doggone thing. Sonic Boom, God bless you. And I'm proud of them. I'm proud of everybody from Jackson State.
Appreciate those comments, Coach. We'll now open up for questions. First question goes to Charles Bishop.
How you doing, Coach?
How you doing, boss man?
I'm doing well.
Hold on. I'm trying to see you. I like to see you when you talk. There you go.
Yes, sir. I wanted to ask a little bit about fourth quarter. This is the one game this season where the things were still kind of in the balance during the fourth quarter, but you've had an 11-play, 78-yard drive. Talk a little bit about that drive itself and how gratifying it was to see Jackson State respond under those circumstances.
Well, it seems as though Shador wasn't in rhythm. He didn't have his rhythm. He didn't have his whole that presence that he normally has, even though the statistics show otherwise. And we went into the tent and like, hey, let's go, baby. This is it. This is what the big dogs are made of. And he took us down, made some tremendous runs, got out of the pocket, ran to extend first downs quite a bit, which is unlike what he normally does. But he saw a situation that he took advantage of, and we made the plays that we needed to make. We needed to be there for our defense. They had been slightly dominant the whole darn game. I mean, I'm sitting up here looking at some of the statistics defensively. They played their butts off as usual, but we went down there and got it done. The mark of a good team is when you're not performing well, but you still overcome adversity and get the W. That says a lot. So I can't be critical of my guys. They overcame adversity and the coaches coached their butts off.
A quick follow-up, Coach. You mentioned it earlier, but the unique circumstances in terms of getting to Montgomery and trying to, put your finger on the slow start. What do you make of that?
That's on us, man. That's on us. That's on us, the people that's not on the field. We need to do a better job of preparing and getting our kids where they need to be. I mean, just getting to this. I think we had to be on the field at 1:10 or something like that. We had just gotten there and darn near 1. So and I didn't want them to rush because everyone has routines, especially the quarterbacks. They have little routines they go through and little things they do, and you don't want to disrupt that consistency. And we always preach consistency, and we were not consistent for our kids, and that would never happen again. If God is willing.
Sure thing. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, sir.
Next question goes to Dr. Cavill.
This is Kenyatta, Dr. Cavill's inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Good morning, Coach Sam.
How you doing, sir?
Doing well. As you said, your defense continues to play lights out, but I wanted to focus a little bit about the offensive side of the ball. The combination of being able to pass and rush the ball. Sevion Wilkerson continues to do his thing, but as a team, you had over 100 yards.
Yeah.
Shador, even though you talk about not being in a rhythm, that's amazing to me when you look at 30 for 46, over 65% completion rating, putting up another 332 yards in the game. Talk about the combination of those two and what you're able to do on the offensive side of the ball.
Well, I think we're getting a little like a days ago with the run because we throw the ball a heck of a lot and we're not as physical as we need to be. Wilkerson is wonderful. We have several backs that can get the job done. I think we're averaging $170 rushing the football, and we were under that, well under that this week. Shador added tremendous runs, which helped those numbers equate to what they were. But we got to be much more physical regarding the run because that gives us more balance. We could throw the ball with anyone. Sooner or later, you blitzes, we're going to make you pay. We may miss a few, but we're going to make you pay sooner or later. And with Shador, like we have brunch every Sunday morning. And my first statement to him is that you don't miss 16 players. You don't do that. You're better than that. See, it seems like it's not a lot, but to us, to our expectation that we have for one another, Shador is not a young man that will miss 16 players with the football. He's truly accurate. That's one of his gifts. So we're going to go back to the lab, and he already has. He's going to get his shoulders checked out. He's a little banged up to make sure he's ready to go this weekend.
Talking about going, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I apologize.
No problem. Going back to the lab, as you said, you turn to the next week's game against Bethune-Cookman on the road. You come in with a team that can do some things, but the record has not really showed in terms of wins. How do you continue to build on the consistency you talk about your team to get in there and do what you want to do offensively and defensively in this matchup?
Well, that's on me and the coaches. We can't allow, just because you play a team, that record does not indicate who they are. Bethune-Cookman is a good program. They have a good coach. They have a good team. Don't allow the record to indicate what you think they are. They're much better than their record. Mississippi Valley, Coach Dancy, he's much better than his record. These guys can coach their butts off. So you got to just make sure you don't set yourself up for a tremendous letdown, because you got to understand, you're the dogs. Everyone is hunting you. You're the ones. You're everyone's homecoming. And you got to go out there and do what you got to do, because everyone is going to be up to play against you, because they're measuring themselves by who we are. I heard all last week, y'all ain't this, y'all ain't that. Well, at the end of the game, we was up by 14. That's what I saw. And we didn't really play well. Consequently, you guys forced us to not play well, but we won by 2 touchdowns. That's pretty darn good.
Good point. Thanks, Coach. Look forward to the matchup.
Thank you, my man. I do too.
Next question goes to James Hill.
Hey, Coach Prime, I hope you and everybody at JSU are well. Can you talk a little bit about Shador, his development, even on a day where it's not all that, he's still all that. Talk about that gentleman as he continues to grind.
I'm hearing a voice. Thank you. There you go. I keep hearing a voice, like someone has the mic on or whatever. His development, is that what the ending where you landed? Shador is a workhorse, man. He's a workaholic. I believe on the bye week, Shador had an appearance, he had a commercial he had to shoot in California. He got off the plane at midnight, and the kids are in a workout facility in Houston that flew down there and drove down there, his receivers, and they got it in at 2:00 in the morning. Then they got right back up the next day, and I think they're on the field again at 5 p.m. So that's just who he is. It's been many times in the summer that they felt like they didn't practice well. I'm getting ready to leave, and I'm going home, and I see the guys out there working, the whole offense working. I mean, like a machine, I'm like, dang, like they ain't playing. So that's the type of leader he is. I wish you could mic him. Well, we mic him so we could hear what he says. I wish the general public could hear what he says, besides the profanity at times. You can understand the type of leader and his expectation for routes and all of that. Like when I see, and I can tell when he's frustrated, you may not can tell on television, but I say, what's going on? He said, we busting too many darn routes. And he lights into them. Like he does not play about the perfection that he wants to attain for this offense. And Coach Brett is doing a wonderful job of dialing it up. I mean, you got to figure on, it seems as though an off game, we only scored 26 points, I believe. I think we had 440 yards, complete total offense. That's beneath what we normally have, but shoot, I know a lot of SWAC teams will take it.
Coach, you return home to Florida soil, if you will. It's North Florida, it's Jacksonville, it's Bethune. Just talk about what fans can expect this week.
we're happy and elated to be playing in a professional stadium. Although I wish it was a smaller stadium because I like the optics being well, especially for HBCUs. When the television camera pans around, I like things to look packed and filled, and people want to get in, not empty. And you could just say hello and it echoes hello. I don't want that situation in that huge stadium. But we're excited to go to Jacksonville to play. We're excited to go to Florida to play. I think we have close to 20 players that derive from the state of Florida that I'm going to try my best, even the walk-ons that may not even participate in the game, I'm going to try my best to make certain they go. It depends on how that list goes because we're flying there as well, but we're excited and we're not underestimating Bethune-Cookman by any means. One thing about the SWAC, any given Saturday, someone could be upset. They truly can. And we don't want to fall into that temptation.
Last question goes to John Bryce.
Hey, Coach Prime, appreciate, as always, the chance to visit with you, man. John Bryce here from Football Scoop again. I wanted to ask you about how you have went about the process of assembling your coaching staff, and then particularly how you met with Coach Bartolone and decided to hire him as your offensive coordinator.
Well, I went to one of the best minds offensively in college football, and he's right down the street at Mississippi State. That's Mike Leach. And he recommended 3 of his guys that runs his system pretty well. You got to understand, I knew what type of defense we had with Dennis Sturman leading the way, and then the guys that we recruited. Now, we still missing 3 starters on the defense that you haven't even seen yet. You've seen Travis, but he'll be back really soon. But I asked Dennis Sturman a true question. Can you handle 10 to 15 more snaps? And you got to understand that's a real question because some defenses have a breaking point. And you have an offense that scores, and you put them out there too long, they're going to break. That's why you see some of the premier colleges, I'm not going to call any names because I don't want to degrade any of those schools, but the problem has been defenses. They score a lot, but they can't stop anybody. But I know we could stop somebody. So now the recipe is to score a lot. So we had an interview process with a couple of my coaches, and Shador was involved because he has to be comfortable. And Coach Brett, shoot, he knocked it out of the park, man. He did. And we had a chemistry, and that's important. You got to get down with me if you want to coach at Jackson State, because this is how it's going to go, and this is going to go this way. But we have to understand what we're trying to accomplish together. And let me tell you something, man. Coach Brett came running, drove all the way from Nevada, wherever he came from, and I don't even think he stopped for gas, but he made it here, and he's been a blessing to us all. He can get the ball down the darn field, and I admire him and respect the heck out of him. And he's very relatable with all kids. All kids. He's very relatable and understanding with all kids. And that's something that you really have to take note. You can't just choose a staff that can coach their butt off, but can't relate to the kid. Or can relate to the kid, but don't know how to coach. Then relate to the kid, don't know how to coach, but they can't recruit. You got to really understand the totality of this coaching thing, and it's real to us.
And then just following up, I talked with Coach Maynor this morning over at Campbell, and I know you guys have a huge showdown coming up. So not trying to get you to look ahead on your schedule necessarily, but I think that's a really exciting game for a lot of people. And I wondered if you could tell us how that game came about and how important it is for a game like that, pitting 2 former NFL players who were really good now coaching at the FCS level as head coaches.
But not only that, 2 guys that have tremendous amount of respect for one another and running a prominent, respectable program. He's a good guy, man, and he's doing some phenomenal things over there. And I think our wonderful AD, Ashley Robinson, just reached out and called him because we had a date open. We were trying to fill with a opponent that can play, not someone that's a cupcake. That's someone that can flat out play, and that's what they present. And he does a great job of recruiting, does a great job of coaching, and they can play the game. And they have some few guys that are pro caliber guys as well as like we do. So it should be a tremendous contest after we take care of this game this week, and we go down to Jacksonville and prayerfully handle our business.
Coach Prime, Andrew, I really appreciate your time each week. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. You do a great job too. I read your stuff. I check out your videos, man. You do a tremendous job.
Oh, thank you so much.
Coach Sanders, as always, we sincerely appreciate your time. Look forward to speaking to you again next week.
Thank you. God bless you all, man. Wish you all the best. Let's go do this. Let's dominate. Whatever you're doing in your life, let's dominate it. God bless.
Quick reminder for our media, we will process this Zoom recording and send it